All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Baby Book. One second. Got a little, there we go. Little echo there. Hopefully it's gone now. Welcome to Baby Book, a new project sponsored by Arts on Colorado. My name is Epan Leubner, and I'm the founder and executive director of Arts on Colorado and the master of ceremonies, if you will, for this exciting live stream that introduces you all to Baby Book. This project started about a year ago when Nicole Asel reached out to talk to me about the goal of performing a new song cycle and collaborating with an experimental dance and video project regarding motherhood and pregnancy. Our mission at Arts on Colorado is to really work on merging classical singing with storytelling and narrative. And so the project really was a fascinating moment for me, and I was very excited to sort of watch as they created this. Today, we're pleased to share the first of two short films from the Baby Book project, along with an introduction to some of the artists who brought it to life. So be sure to check out. I'm just turning off our ticker here, artsoncolorado.org, so that you can find out more about our organization. And during the broadcast, you will see a QR code right up here. You can scan that and you can find out more about the specifics of the project as we go through this whole session. Stay tuned at the end after the second video because we will have a Q&A with our artists, and I'm very excited about that. So please be sure to just drop your questions in the comments. We'll try to handle as many as we can without taking too much time. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our artists, beginning with our choreographer, Madeline Harvey. So let me just do this and say hello, Madeline. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's have you also just talk a little bit about what attracted you to this project.
Yes, thank you so much, Epan. I am an associate professor of dance at Colorado State University and a performer and choreographer, as well as parent of a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old. So I think that last most important piece of my title summarizes why I am interested in this particular project, as well as being able to collaborate with incredible artists across many different disciplines. So since embarking on my parenting journey, I've been really interested in understanding the intersection between artistry and parenting and exploring movement and pregnancy. And so I have in partnership with a colleague, Dr. Zainab Berenjen, been on a several-year journey of creating a dance intervention, exploring the impact of movement on emotional availability and well-being during pregnancy. The results from our pilot study were really exciting and showed improvement from the pre-test to post-test of self-reported prenatal EA, emotional availability, as well as reduced anxiety. And this is significant because we note that during pregnancy, the attachment that's beginning to form between pregnant person and fetus can be a marker for potential postpartum depression. And so we're hoping that by using dance and movement, we can help people along their journey and challenges, and just bring forward all the beauty and pain that pregnancy and parenting entails. And as part of our mission and commitment to a research dissemination plan, in addition to scholarly articles, we are committed to producing creative research and public sharing of knowledge and findings and information, especially through creative work. So that's where Baby Book also comes into play. And students are a huge collaborative component of this research, and everywhere from sort of literature review to implementation to performing, they're integral to our creation. So I'd now like to pass it to Ella and Ellie, who can share some student perspectives.
Hi, I'm Ella Myers. I am a third-year student at CSU, double major in dance and conservation biology. And I've been working with Professor Madeline on this project for on movement through parenthood for about a year and a half now. I've really enjoyed one of my primary roles with the research side of things is teaching our movement workshop to our various pregnant participants. And it's really been wonderful to hear their responses to the movement activities that we give them, both verbal responses that they have, experiences that they share with us, and also just getting to see them move and being able to bring their perspective into my performance when I have the opportunity to perform this piece, which I've gotten to do a few times at CSU. And then last summer we traveled to Chicago to perform the piece, which was a wonderful experience. And I just really enjoy getting to take this experience of dance and mental health and take it into a performance that we can share with a wider audience. I'll pass it now to Ellie to kind of share about her experience working with this as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ellie Schroeder. I am also a third-year student at CSU. I am majoring in dance and business. I've been with the study since my freshman year as well, and I am so proud of how far it has come. Every year is a little bit different, and we keep just growing more and more. As Ella said, I also do the facilitation process of teaching our pregnant participants through the variety of the exercises, and also help a lot with some recruitment and participant communication. Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. And I think it's really helping me prepare for both of my degrees, whatever fields I decide to go into. And yeah, it's been awesome. I can't wait for everyone to see what we've come up with.
And I'm on mute, so I'm going to try that again. Welcome to live broadcasting. I'd like to now kick it over to Nicole to do an introduction and then pass it, and then talk a little bit about the piece that we're going to hear that's coming up. So Nicole, take it away.
Sure. Hi, I'm Nicole Asel. I'm an associate professor of voice and vocal pedagogy at Colorado State University. This piece has so many points of interest and passion for me. I'm used to performing in the Western classical music canon, and the female perspective is definitely present, but usually it's told through the words and the music of men. And Madeline and I, we have two lovely 4.5-year-olds who are good friends, and we've become good friends. And we thought it would be amazing to marry our personal lives and our professional lives in some way. So we started seeking out pieces that we could collaborate on that dealt with parenting and motherhood, so that it was close to our experience. And that was a challenge that I kept facing. And we came across this beautiful song cycle with text by Chloe Yelena Miller and music by Lawrence Pavelko. And it's a 6-song cycle telling a story. It's the first 2 songs deal with miscarriage. The middle 2 songs are about pregnancy after loss. And then the final 2 songs are about the 4th trimester and life with a newborn. And so things that we really, really loved about this setting. Not only is it beautiful, not only is the poetry stunning, but there's an honesty and vulnerability in the setting that is so wonderful to be able to live in as an artist. We loved the honesty about motherhood. I always say it's the most beautiful and most difficult thing that I've ever done. And simultaneously, every minute it feels like that. The other thing is miscarriage. We haven't, as a society, spoken about the experience and the commonness of miscarriage. So we know now 1 in 4 known pregnancies end in miscarriage. It is the most common and least discussed topic under the umbrella of parenting. So we liked that this brought that to the forefront. So anytime you perform song, you're always starting with the text, and then you have what the composer brings musically to that text. And we knew in our collaboration, because we wanted to work together, that we would add movement as a part of that storytelling. Originally, we envisioned this as a live performance, and we've been able to perform the piece live, which has been amazing. But we started to think about what would be the benefits of doing this as a film. And in talking with Epen, the idea was sort of planted, and we happen to know some unbelievable artists, Tessa and Jacob Machmer. And so we love the idea of the flexibility and the power to bring different images into the storytelling experience. We also really loved the idea of making a film that would be viewable by a larger, more diverse audience than can be available for one night only in a concert hall. So our hope in presenting this work is to destigmatize miscarriage, explore the process of birth after loss, maybe open up a conversation about some of the challenges of making humans and living a life, and then mostly to build community and awareness. So the first piece that we're excited to share with you is Quickening, which is the 3rd piece in the 6-song cycle. And Sabina will read Chloe's beautiful poetry before you watch the film.
Quickening, week 22. Quickening of the morning light. Quickening of my heartbeat on the stairs. And your quickening, flutters of joints or whole body. All while I reach for something, while I stretch out on my left side. The smallest of miracles, these human movements.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Burns. I am a senior instructor of music and the supervisor of collaborative piano at Colorado State University in Fort Collins. And I have the pleasure of working with Madeline and with Nicole on this project and with all the students. And it's been a great experience from that perspective. I've been asked to talk a little bit about the musical contextualization, and there's a lot going on. We're going to only hear 2 out of the 6 songs in this cycle. What we just heard, Quickening, is the 3rd song. This 3rd song comes right as pregnancy is being experienced, and this comes after the first 2 songs, which really dive deeply into miscarriage. One of the things I think you may have noticed, there's a lot of use of whole tone scales. There's a lot of high registrations, a lot of soft low registrations, some poignant in the middle. I think Lawrence Pavelko uses the music very well to create atmosphere, to create emotion, to create a sense of longing and excitement in the way that the notes are moving and how she controls that timing. And I think that comes out beautifully in Quickening. Quickening, because it comes right after, is still in this state of haze. And I'm mentioning haze because Lawrence Pavelko relies on the damper pedal to help create this blending of harmony. And that blending of harmony is something that comes in common with the very first song, Objects, which we will hear later. Objects really represents this wave and constant experience of waves of emotion, very visceral. They just almost seem to come out of nowhere with the way that changes happen. She puts this in the music by making sure that it's improvisatory. And this creates some difficulty in a way when you're collaborating with somebody else. You need to make sure that you're on time and you're reading the way that they're hoping to perform it, and you want to line up or maybe not line up certain elements in the music, which I hope you'll hear as you listen to Objects and watch Objects as the video later on. But what you'll also find is there's just really big sudden shifts. Lots of high notes and high register that suddenly come down with a big bang low in the piano. And there's an extended piano solo that's just bringing up these ideas that are about to be discussed by the singer. The text is almost just sort of coalescing inside of that piano solo and then being produced. It's almost like somebody's thinking about what they want to say in these deeper emotional moments. We're missing the second song in the cycle in between. I find that to be just it's the most heartbreaking for me to play as a pianist, especially with the use of grand pauses, because it's about a children's pool game, and that pool game is Marco Polo, and the mother is screaming Marco, and there's no polo. And it's because she's going and dealing with this experience of miscarriage and that loss, and imagining what that would be like. As a father to a nearly 6-year-old, I feel like I'm on the outside looking in a way. I experience the path musically along with the listener, and I'm in there trying to create that. And I remember what it was like as my wife and I were working towards creating a family, and whatever difficulties, because there were difficulties and complications along the way and things that we needed to deal with together. And at least I can draw on that as I'm playing into it and playing as a musician. The whole cycle itself, it's a complete journey. That sense of loss carries through, I think, all of the songs in the cycle. There's more joyfulness towards the end, which I think is very relieving. By the 6th song, we do hear a recap of the opening piano solo, just very briefly, and it breaks into the joy of motherhood and the joy of parenting very, very quickly by the end of this. So we still feel the loss. We still understand the loss to be there, but we still have that joy. And as listeners and as a musician playing the piece, I get that sense throughout all of the cycle. So thank you.
Tim, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Next up, I'd like to introduce you to Jacob and Tessa Machmer of Machmer Media. And I'd love to have you both share just a little bit about the filmmaking process, how it was edited and how you kind of came up with the visual plan for this. So I'm going to turn it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Epen. Hi, everyone. I'm Jacob Machmer.
And I'm Tessa Machmer, and we own Machmer Media, which is a media company that specializes in movement and dance.
Yeah, so in addition to the visual storytelling work that we get to do, we are also lovers of dance and music and the arts, and have backgrounds in dance as well. Mm-hmm. And so a bit of that contributes to why this project means so much to us. And when Madeline and Nicole approached us with this project that they've been in the process of working on, and an introduction to the music and poetry as well, we're very excited to be a part of it. And so with that comes, I'll share a little bit about what that initial process looked like before we got into the filming. And that consisted of, several meetings to really dive into the visualization and the meaning, and to better understand what these pieces are about, and who better to understand than two mothers who were able to share so much insights about their experience and about a lot of the emotional context, especially as Tim mentioned, that comes through the music, through the poetry. And, so part of those initial discussions were, how can we capture visuals to represent that and stitch them together? And, so in the two videos that are being presented tonight, there's a lot of different intentionality going into each of those. And Tessa will speak a little bit more to the actual visuals and intention behind the decisions that Nicole, Madeline, and us came up with. But beyond coming up with the visuals was then the editing process. And really, one of the reasons I love video so much is, as a dancer as well, it really reminds me and feels akin to the process of choreographing. And to me, and in some of the research I've done in the past with collaboration with musicians, it's so much of the visual impetus and even motivation of the movement comes from the music and the way it moves you, and the text as well. So that really comes alive in the editing process, as you hear all these descriptors, and as Tim just shared, and the way the pedal creates this haze and blend, or when there are moments of power in Nicole's voice that really come through strongly, or a bit of stillness with just the sound of the upper register of the piano, that in the next video, Objects, reminded all of us of this feeling of water. And so you'll see how that's represented as well. But that process really, our motivation and goal behind it was to be able to capture some of these emotions that are being discussed, and really with the poetry as well. As you listen to the poetry, and as you listen to the words that Nicole's singing, it really brings many visuals to mind. And we hoped to capture and follow that arc through the editing process. So would you like to speak more about the visuals?
Yeah, and kind of to echo what Jacob's saying, there's a lot, like with putting a video together, any kind of visual representation is getting a story across. It's not necessarily a narrative, but listening to Nicole and Madeline and their experiences, having been, in the dance world and choreographing and whatnot, it was really a fun experience being able to envision what they have told us and putting dance into a natural environment outside of like a proscenium. And even just thinking about actually the juxtaposition between the first video that we just saw, Quickening, and Objects, we did bring in part of that more performative, being in a space. But yeah, going into kind of part of the visions that Madeline and Nicole were talking about, like in Quickening, we're kind of trying to represent a mother's womb. And so we were able to do that with light, with like a fall off in the proscenium theater, and kind of having, blurry lights in the background, having just maybe some blurrier footage and overlaying of stuff. So we were able to basically extrapolate what Nicole and Madeline gave us and work together to create a space that we could do that in. And so we were able to do that at the CSU Dance Theater. And then Objects, I would say, is the next video you'll see is definitely more of a piece that is dance inside, like more natural environment. And that's part of the really cool thing about this project specifically is we're able to explore themes of motherhood, of family, of being out, like the joy of being outside with your children, the joy of there's just different elements that bring the video together outside of just the performative dance. So those two, the way those two were edited, I mean, I'm defer to you because I didn't do any of the editing, but yeah, there's just a little bit of yeah.
and going on with that, as we're about to watch it together, maybe some things to look out for with any art form. It's the hope is that it's you find your own meaning from it and it's open to your interpretation. But being able to see Madeline and Nicole and the different settings,
Mm-hmm.
Each setting brought in different emotions and represented different things to us, like nostalgia or
the organ hall too, yeah.
or the present moment, the present emotion. And so we encourage you to find some of those for yourself as you watch it. And now we're going to get to hear the poetry read by Sabina for the piece Objects.
Objects. To mourn a woman, carry her picture, wear her lapel pin. There's nothing to wear, carry, after a miscarriage. In Japan, mothers mourn lost water children. Gardens of small statues in red knitted hats, bibs. Hands in my pockets, I stand at the edge of the tidal basin, wilted cherry blossoms above and below.
Well, I'd like to thank all of the artists today who participated in the live stream of Baby Book and this preview. It was very exciting to experience that for the first time with so many people online and have this conversation. I wanted to let everyone know that Arts on Colorado is excited to be the fiscal sponsor of the Baby Book project, which means that if you click the link that's in the QR code right over there, you can find out more about the project and you can support the creation of the next songs in the cycle. As you can see, an incredible amount of artistry has been put into these first two videos. And I think that this is a great opportunity if you're interested in any of the issues that are involved with motherhood and with miscarriage and birth, but also if you're interested in supporting the arts on community here in Colorado. This is a great opportunity for you to directly support the team that's making Baby Book with your creation, with your donations. So please consider making a donation today. We would love to have you there. I'm going to bring the whole panel back because we had some questions in the chat. So I'm going to try to facilitate as best I can, and we will then we'll wrap up the live stream. So here is everyone. All right. So yes, everyone say hello. So the first question that came up, looking through the comments here, who did the costumes and come up with the visual design for the actual, like the clothing piece of it?
I'll take that, Epan. Thanks so much. And I should start by thanking Colorado State University's School of Music, Theater, and Dance costume shop. We have an amazing staff. Elise Colvaney was the sourcer of those costumes, actually for a work that I created many years back, but they just kept coming back to mind to me as this sort of especially in thinking about it being in utero and the sort of umbilical imagery and, you know, sort of the blood and sort of formation. And so that through line within the first video. In the second one, I was, I guess, probably trying to do mental math, like about 7.5 months pregnant with my second child. So that costuming choice came out of necessity of what will fit me at this time that I can still move and dance in. So that was a little bit less intentional, but ended up helping to inform sort of other costume choices by other performers and sort of connected to that natural setting that Tessa was speaking of.
That's great. Thank you. The next question is actually for Tessa and Jacob from our poet, Chloe. She asks, did you storyboard each piece? How did you decide the order or sequence of everything in objects?
Yeah, this is a great question, especially coming from Chloe, because objects specifically was so heavily influenced throughout the editing process by the text and by the sequence of words. So to answer the question, we did storyboard, and Nicole, Madeline, and us, we also did something we called a cork board, where we just put all of our ideas pre-filming of, inspirations and how we were responding to the text and the music and the emotions that those brought up. So more or less, we had a loose storyboard of some of these ideas we were visualizing. Like, I remember Madeline sharing this concept of, an open space with, seeing mother and child inhabiting that space. And from there, it wasn't until really the development of the footage, and then being able to go through it, what I like to call combing through the footage and just seeing it time and time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And just closing your eyes and listening to the text, and moments where there are references to the water children and gardens of small statues. It's like that really invokes some of this footage we were able to capture the day of, and reinforce the decision to put it in the sequence that we did. You have anything to add?
Yeah, I think you said it pretty well. With after capturing everything, we had this bank of footage that was very inspired, first of all, by the poetry, but also the music, the sounds and the music, and that very ominous ending. So just kind of, I wasn't involved in the editing process, but from videos that I've edited with Jacob before, a lot of things come to life during editing for dance on film. I feel like more so than if we were to do like a documentary style type video, just because you want to be open to just the creativity of it, but also just an abstract meaning as well. So we went into it with bones, and as we were able to spend time with Nicole and the little ones and Madeline, we were able to kind of get inspiration from that as well and fill in the flesh of the video.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And one more thing I'll add, going off that analogy, is it's unique being able to record a live performance as well. You could have just a video of the live performance, but with all of the supplementary footage that we had, there are moments that were like those bones of the live performance, where you can see like the passion in which Tim presses the keys at the end, and Nicole is such a expressive performer. So those moments that we were able to really pull out of the run-throughs that we filmed became sort of these anchor points of the bones that then we were able to fill in with the flesh of the other footage.
That's great. What a great description. Thank you. I think I'd like to follow up with 3 questions in one, because there are 3 perspectives that I think are going to be really key. So a couple of us here are opera singers in addition to being part of Arts on Colorado. And so my first question is to Nicole. Okay, so you were filmed not only as an opera singer, but as an actor in the film. So tell me like what that was like, because that's kind of outside of your modality. That's question number one. Question number two is to Tim. What was it like to have expressive fingers? And then question number three would be to our dancers. Like, what was it like for you to be sort of like, how did that work? Because when I saw the dance, I couldn't quite tell if you were in with the piano, if that was going, the live performance was going on at the same time. So three questions in one. We'll kind of move around the horn, just pass it from one to the next. Thanks.
Well, it was definitely outside of my comfort zone. I'm much more comfortable in the crook of a piano and singing and pacing it myself, and I've rehearsed everything. So a lot of the footage, like out in the field, and of course Jacob and Tessa are amazing and so encouraging, but you know, I would get directions like walk towards me, and I would try to, like, I don't know, channel my best film actress that skills I've never done or had before. And I just sort of had to trust them and be like, is it reading? Does this look okay? Do you have some suggestions to help me not look so strange? So, and I also, like, that's where good editing comes in. So I'm sure in all of the footage where I look very strange, they didn't include it. So I'm grateful. An editor is very important, but what was I super comfortable? No. Was it fun? And was it very, very different? Yes. And it was really fun to include. So our daughters, Aaliyah and Elise, are in a lot of that footage. And when you have someone else that you're interfacing with, it's significantly more comfortable. And I will say, a lot of the stuff that I did do in the concert hall, Madeline was moving around me. And so to sing in proximity to her movement was also very comfortable. It's mostly when I'm just by myself that I'm uncomfortable. When I'm with other people, you respond in the moment. So when Madeline, she did a lot of sort of improvisatory movement around me and around the piano and around Tim. And that's an unbelievable experience because it impacts the live performance. It impacts the way that you sing each line, all of that. So yeah.
You know, expressive fingers. I'm always hoping my fingers are expressive when I'm playing. And I don't know that I really changed anything as I performed, you know, with people around me, doing different things, having the camera up close or behind me, or having Madeline dance around. I actually needed to try to tune everybody out. I'm very much more used to being able to, for lack of a better term, I guess, own the stage, own that space. That's my space. I am creating on that space. I have the other person or people that I'm working with. We're all working together to do that. That's all true. I guess it was just a very different experience, very exciting experience, but one that I had to make sure I was very focused on what I was doing. I don't think I really knew what was exactly going on unless somebody was right in my peripheral vision. I don't think I really changed too much about what was going on, hopefully. But yeah, that was my experience with all of them.
I'll throw it over to you, Ella.
Sorry. Filming was a very different experience. I have been with this piece since pretty early on, and I've seen it in like 4 different iterations at this point. And so to do it on film, where every other time I've performed the piece, it's been 1, maybe 2 shows. And so it's fleeting and it's over. When it's done, it's over. And so we were working with the same recording that we would rehearse to. We didn't have live musicians in the space when we filmed, but being able to go back and repeat moments over and over again until we felt that they were where we wanted them to be was a really interesting experience, having not been part of a dance film before.
Sorry. I had also never been a part of a dance film before, and I am so glad I was. It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my dance career. Um, yeah, like Ella said, we took a lot of time rehearsing that specific piece. So we had it down so we could just keep going back and recording different pieces of it. I think the most challenging part for me was just embodying different sections of that piece of quickening. Um, Different sections of the piece represent different times in pregnancy, and you'll see a lot of the movements we were doing, some kind of jerky movements. Those are to represent a baby in utero. So that was definitely something I have never done before, but it was just so cool, and it really put me in a space to think outside of the box and thinking about how I can really showcase those movements and just bring Madeline's creation to life. So yeah, it was awesome.
Well, thanks so much, everyone. I think we're out of questions in the chat, but I think it's a good time to wrap up. I am incredibly grateful to Nicole for reaching out to me about a year ago to start thinking through what the Baby Book Project was and what it became. And I've got to say, having sat down and now kind of heard all of the conversation, the scope of the project is really a lot bigger than even I could have thought it would be when we started talking about it a year ago, which is really, I think it's a real tribute to all of you who really brought so many diverse artistic skills to create those two films. For those of you who are interested in seeing the films, we will do we'll figure out a process to get the really crystal clear ones. We were live streaming those, but we'll make sure that we've got some up for you to see. And in the meantime, you see that there's a link down below. You can type it in with your fingers, or you can scan the photo in the corner, and you can find out more about the project of Baby Book, and you can directly support these artists as they go through the process of preparing to create the next 4 videos along with the choreography. So thank you to all the artists who joined us today, to Madeline, to Nicole, to Tim, to Tessa and Jacob, to Ella and Ellie, and to Sabina, who stepped in to read our poetry as well. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for joining us for this live stream, for everyone who's in the audience out there and who are watching it in the future. We look forward to seeing you at another Art Song Colorado live stream event soon. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening or day.